All right, I want to welcome to the show today Kyle Zufelt. Kyle is the oldest of 6 kids and naturally the guinea pig. He is most often found reading. He'll read any menu, sign, document, hotel escape plan, pretty much anything he finds. When not reading, Kyle plays basketball, piano, and rappels. He recently published his first book, The Reading Rebellion. And because he precedes 5 siblings, he spends a fair amount of time repressing their rebellions. Welcome, Kyle.
Thanks so much. Appreciate it.
So this is awesome. I love that you connected with me. You sent me your book and I was able to read it. It's amazing. And I love the whole concept and the ideas in your book. So tell us a little bit about it and just where this idea came from to write The Reading Rebellion.
Well, so I have always loved reading, and I love reading. That's basically my main hobby right now, and it always has been. And so it makes me so sad when I see teens and kids around me that don't love reading. It's kind of a social construct and idea that reading is annoying, it's boring, it's in the way, and so that you just do it when you have to and you don't do it as much. And I really don't like that because I've learned so much from reading. It has helped me do so many things, and I just enjoy it. And so I just love to express the idea of reading rebelliously, thinking in different ways so you can learn more, so you can enjoy reading more. And so that's what the book is about, is just reading rebelliously, getting outside of the social norms and learning more.
I love that. I love that. Just that idea of getting outside the social norms. I'm like, ding, ding, ding. That's exactly like my mission of this whole platform, right? Like
Yeah,
there are things that kids especially are being socialized into believing that they don't even recognize. Like I was that way when I was a kid. I was like, oh, reading, that's not cool, because that's what the kids around me believed.
yeah,
And so I just adopt those things because that's what was normal, right?
definitely. It's
So
just a huge thing right now.
which is sad, especially right now during the pandemic, right? It's like, okay, how are kids spending their time? How is anybody
Yeah,
spending their time if they're not, if they have the time, then this is a perfect time and opportunity to read and to learn a new skill and to, question these social constructs that
yeah,
are leading
yeah.
to nowhere. So, okay, so what does it mean then to read rebelliously? What is there, like a definition of that?
So my definition of reading rebelliously is reading with a different mindset, perspective, or idea. So then you can challenge the things that you read, and you can come up with conclusions. So it's basically reading, thinking it differently, and so you can learn more from it.
Wow. So it's not just like reading it to just, okay, I consumed this thing. I got
Yeah,
the author's perspective, but
yeah.
it's actually questioning it and digesting it in a way that you form your own opinions and ideas. Would you say, is that basically what you're saying?
Yeah, definitely. You come in with a bunch of different perspectives, as many as possible, because the more perspectives you have, the more you learn. You come in from the authors, yours, the characters, all these different perspectives. Then you can see more of the situation and learn more information.
That's so cool. I've read a few other books about how to read a book, and I felt like yours was it was so easy to consume, first of all, and it was very short, or not short, but like it was to the point. It was very poignant the way that you wrote this book, because it was just like the one of the books that I'd read was like so long, and it was like, oh my gosh, I'm done reading this book about reading how to read a book. It's one of those things you're like, why do people need to read a book about how to read a book? Well, it's
Exactly.
because nobody knows how to read a book. Nobody, not nobody, but you know what I mean? Like people
Definitely.
generally, we just kind of read to just say, oh, I read it, especially kids and teenagers, when it's just an assigned book that they were supposed to read for school or something like that. Or a lot of times people don't read a book for learning or for forming ideas. They just want to read for a distraction or entertainment.
Yeah, definitely.
But is that good enough? Is that
No, I think the love and learning of reading is becoming a lost art.
mm,
Basically, like through all of history, all the great minds, how they learned and how they became great is because they read, not only for enjoyment, but they did do that because that is a great feature, I guess. Not a feature,
it's a good
but
reason. It's a
also,
good reason to
yeah,
read, yeah, to
but
for
also
enjoyment.
yeah, but also they read just to get and explore the world. They to see different people's experiences, and so they read so they could learn and gain more knowledge. And I think that's becoming a lost idea in society. People are turning to different things. They're turning to going and sitting on screens a lot of time and just doing things like that. And so I think it's important to remember that one of the best ways to learn is to read.
Wow. I love that idea because what you said, when you said earlier that reading in itself is, you know, a social conditioning, like that we're losing, like you just said, but
Yeah.
also that reading and learning, it also expands our social conditioning and experience so
Yeah.
that, you know, we learn these concepts, we understand them above and beyond the act of actual reading. You know what I mean? So I love
Yeah.
that concept. You are talking about reading in and of itself to read in order to learn, but
Yeah.
also that learning, through that learning you gain a widen and you broaden your perspective and your
Hmm.
understanding of the world and how it works. So
Yeah.
that's really powerful. I love that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Thank you.
another, yeah, and another thing that you had mentioned before we started recording, I love this idea of reading being a way for your family to bond. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yes. So I reading in our family has been around since that's like one of my earliest memories is my parents reading to us, telling us stories, just teaching us how to read. And I think that's been a huge bonding factor between child and parent relationship. It's just teaching them a skill that they're going to need for the rest of their life, but also introducing them to new ideas, new stories, and just getting them excited about that. I remember like some of my favorite memories are just my parents sitting in the hallway. We're laying in bed and they read us stories, and it's just so amazing because the parents are spending time to read stories to us, and that was a way of showing that they actually cared. And so that was just has been a really huge bonding experience in my family. And even now, sometimes my parents read to my siblings, and when I'm even busy or just like doing work or whatever, a lot of the time I find myself edging over or sitting on the stairs just to get closer without even realizing it's just an instinct because I love hearing from them doing that. And that's just one of the things that I love bonding our family. It's just reading together.
That's awesome. That's so cool that your family has made that a part of your family culture to make reading a part of your practice and a value that you have for your family. So that's really, really powerful. And it's something that when you know, sometimes I think as parents, we go, oh, my kids don't want to sit still through reading a book or something like
Yeah.
that. If we have little kids, how did that work when you guys were smaller? What did your
Well,
parents do?
I guess like just little hand trinkets I think are a big thing, or just
Uh-huh.
so because it's a way for them to kind of be distracted but still take in the information, right? And I think another big part of that is the parents just setting good examples. If the parents aren't able to sit there and read a book, then how do you expect your child to sit there and read? If like just an older sibling or parent just goes and sits on their phone for a while, then obviously the child isn't going to be um, introduce the idea of just going and sitting down and reading for fun or to learn. And so I think a big part of it is just like letting them kind of wander a little bit, just so then they can soak in the information until they learn the patience, but also setting a great example for them.
That's awesome. That is so awesome. That is exactly, again, communicating the mission of my platform about family culture is
Yeah,
being parents that model the behaviors, because whatever we establish as the norm, that's what's going to be picked up in our family from our children as what's normal. And also to establish yourself as parents to be the leader, the culture leader in your home, you know. Whereas if your kids start to become more socialized to their peers, they're going to start believing the norms and constructs of their peers, going, oh, reading's not cool, you know.
yeah,
So I love what you said, that you know, being a leader as parents, modeling that you enjoy reading, and then, you know, establishing a habit. It sounds like your
yeah,
parents established a habit of reading so that it was something that you just did. I love
yeah,
that.
definitely.
That
I
is so
learned
cool.
a lot from them. They did a great job with that.
That's awesome. Not a lot of teenagers would are gonna sit here and tell us how awesome their parents are. So
No, they
that
really are great.
bravo to your parents. That's awesome.
Well, my mom also is sitting right here, but but I love her.
Well, even more so. That's so awesome that it sounds like reading played into that relationship that you have with your parents that has strengthened you guys and allowed you to now, as a teenager, to sit here with your mom sitting near you and being able to compliment her. Like, that's powerful.
Yeah. She's pretty great.
It's countercultural what you're saying. You know that, right?
Definitely.
So that's
Yeah.
awesome. I love this. So Kyle, thank you so much for coming to share with us about your book, about your mission, about helping kids, teenagers, and parents alike all learn the importance of reading rebelliously. Just for like a little snippet or synopsis of the book, I like you talked about the rebellious steps
Hmm.
of what it takes, and so you talked about questioning things, writing in your books.
Yeah.
I won't give away all of them, but
Yeah.
so it's just, how are those types of things, like writing in your books or arguing with your books, or trying to open your mind to a concept that you don't understand, how does that play into this idea of being rebellious?
So I think it's just another way of putting your thoughts out there. When you think through all of the ideas that you have, you see the fallacies in them, you see the flaws, but
Mm,
also you see the goodness in them. And so I think just being able to go through all those steps, writing in your books, arguing with everything, questioning everything. I think it's just another way of being rebellious in the way that you're able to have thoughts of your own, so then you can
mm.
build on your thoughts and learn from them.
I love that. That was an awesome answer, because I think that that's exactly, when people come up with, or they have judgments and constructs that they were raised with, we don't often question those things. And so
Yeah.
it's really cool that you're bringing this up in the context of reading, in order to, grow and expand your mind, and then ask yourself, wait, where did that judgment come from that I have about certain situations and
Yeah.
experiences? And is it a good judgment, or is it a bad judgment,
Is
right?
it just from the people that I'm around, or is it actually my thought that I believe in?
Wow. So empowering, right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, more and more, that's just the way that our culture and society are going. Like, we as individuals need to be leaders in our sphere of
Yeah.
influence and things, and being able to construct our own thoughts and ideas, and be able to have grounding, and have your thoughts grounded in reality, in real and fact and truth, instead of just going, well, it's just the way I've always thought, or I've always known it was that way.
Yeah. Are you
So
just doing it because you're doing it, or is it because you actually believe it?
that's cool.
Mhm.
Very cool. Awesome, Kyle. So tell us more about where we can get your book and where we can connect with you to support you on your mission.
Oh, thank you so much. So it's called my book is called The Reading Rebellion. I'm on Instagram and Facebook, just under Peak Pages, with a Z, I guess. So just go and look there. And so oh yeah, and I also have a website, peakpages.com, so you can go and look at all of my stuff on there.
Cool.
So yeah, just go, and I would love to hear what you guys think about it, and if you guys actually learn from it, and just your ideas about reading rebelliously and how that's helped you.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being on the show. I really enjoyed talking to you, Kyle.
No, thank you so much for letting me come on, Mrs. Chafee. I really appreciate it.
Again, thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Family Culture Movement. Help more people find the show. Download this episode, subscribe to the show, rate it, and leave a review. For more tools for shaping your intentional family culture, be sure to sign up for your free membership of the Family Success Toolbox at homeandfamilyculture.com. Until next time, remember to set your intentions for your family culture and lead your family toward your vision of success.